belt to foul, foul, foul. For your deuce dog of the week.
Light it.
A lot of music to start this week. A lot of music to start this week's edition of the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Saucy Nugs today. The legendary Mark Ingram, the legendary Urban Meyer, Rob Stone back here with you. Thanks for joining us. Rate, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. You can find us at 3X Option Show. We have a special release coming your way later this week. Yeah, 2 episodes this week. So we're going to drop another one on Friday. Happy holidays to everybody out there.
The Deuce episodes.
How about the double shot of music to lead off this week, right? We love our theme song here at the Triple Option, but a special shout out to social producer Corey for putting together the most addictive piece of barking music the music industry has ever created. Mark barking. What is that song? Jingle Bells. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, gosh.
What's the genre?
It's not grunge. It's not grunge. It's rough.
It's Christmas.
I don't know what that is.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmassy with a little rough into it. I like it, Mark. I thought it was good. I thought Corey did a banger job. Give Corey a raise.
I gotta meet Corey and talk to him and say, you have to really evaluate your life to sit and spend time on this.
Come on,
And
man.
I love Mark. Mark's one of my dudes, but this is the worst thing I've ever listened to in my life.
You're wrong, Coach.
I can't unsing it, see it, and then
that's the beauty of it. It's
Don't let them
hinged.
take
It's
a
locked
poll.
in your brain.
It's awful.
All right,
It's
the
awful.
3 of us. Here's an immediate the Triple Option poll presented by Wendy's. Who likes it? Hand up. 1, 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 2/3 of the show loves it, adores it, can't get
All
enough.
right.
Yeah, we'll have Mark sing us off at the end of this week's show, Coach. All right.
All right.
Time to talk. Time to talk defining moments, and it is brought to you by NHTSA. Drunk driving changes your world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. So we're going to talk our reaction to the first ever home college football playoff games. And I think two of the talking things are the results were lopsided, Coach, and also the conversation out there of indictments on conferences and indictments on why are some of these teams in the playoffs, fair or unfair. But I think that's kind of the current tone that a lot of people are taking in the college football world right now. And again, we loved them. I loved having the extra games. I thought it was fantastic, burning my Friday and Saturday watching all this football. But I think people were hoping for a little bit more competitive outcomes, Coach.
Yeah, I think the reality is that there's 2 things that I witnessed. Number one is the college football playoff, I think, is forever changed now. And that means that if you don't play anyone, you're not going to get in. I think that's been, if you don't beat a ranked team, or I think the public spoke, I kind of paid attention the best I could. And I think that you'll take a team that plays a rugged schedule over a team that just doesn't play anyone. That was the feedback I got. And then the second reality is this.
Even if those rugged schedules include a lot of losses, right? I guess that's the hang up.
Yeah, I think a 3-loss team. The minute I say that, though, and then Tennessee gets their ass kicked in, and, I don't know. So, it's a tough – it's still it's amazing. The BCS was a flawed system.
Yep.
The college football playoff 14 was a flawed system, and here we are at 12-team. It's a flawed system somehow. But that's also it's great for the fans to a point. The games weren't great. The games were actually some of the games were awful.
All of them were awful. I mean, there really wasn't one good game.
So number one
Clemson
is I
made it
think
close.
college football playoff is forever changed. That I think if you don't play someone and you're a lesser team, you won't get in. The second is, and I think we discussed this before, why would you ever play a tough team in the opening game? Why would you do that? You look at Tennessee. Tennessee had one of those ridiculous preseason schedule. They did play NC State, but they played UTEP, Chattanooga, and Kent State. So college football fans, get ready for some 50-7 games in the preseason.
But remember, Coach, Ohio State, we've been trashing Ohio State's non-conference schedule as well.
Right. Which they should. I mean, I'm not saying they should. The current model benefits that. Next year, they're playing Texas. Next 4 years, they got Texas,
to open
Texas,
the season. Yeah.
and Alabama. You should think about canceling those games because right now, if they lose those games, the chance of them getting a good path in the playoff or even making the playoff has been diminished. It doesn't matter. The College Football Committee said it does not matter. Go ask LSU. Go ask A&M. If they had to rethink their schedule, A&M played Notre Dame, LSU went out and played neutral field USC. Why play those games? It's great for it makes me sick because I love those games.
I threw up in my mouth when you just said that. Yeah, that's awful. We can't get rid of those games.
So A&M's got to go play, D2ESA instead of Notre Dame, which makes you sick because I think they should. I mean, I told you our scheduling philosophy for my entire career: a big dog, medium dog, little dog. You have to play a big dog early in the year. Back in the day, do you wanted a measuring stick of where your team was? That does not matter now. Go get. So
you still don't need that, but I would say you need that measuring stick to find out where you are when you head into conference play and what needs to be sorted out.
Your job's not to win the conference, Rob.
Right, and it's not to win.
Your job's not to make a bowl game. It's to be one of the 12 teams standing at the end of the day.
So in Columbus, is your job still to win the Michigan game?
Well, we've lost 4 in a row. That's a great question. I think it is. But
when you get into the playoff and you
smoke,
you just kill people. It doesn't really matter. It's not to the same extent. It
the
matters,
one thing they're not talking about in Columbus, Ohio today is the Wolverine game.
Right.
They were talking about it post-game, though, about how they use that Wolverine game and they use that 2-week break to motivate and get themselves centered and have those players-only meetings and whatnot. So I think they will talk about it in the sense that it was beneficial going forward long-term. But again,
all right, here, I'm going to throw this at Mark. All right, so here's maybe we go back to the BCS. I'm kidding here. Let's go back to the BCS because
the BCS
those are
good
the 2 top teams in the country. And they're usually street fights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the college football playoff, there's 4 teams. There aren't 12 teams that can compete for a national title. It's not going to happen. I don't think it'll ever happen. The 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 will probably get smoked.
So to your point, Coach, blowouts, nothing new. The previous 4-team playoff, in the 20 games that were played over the 10 years, the average point differential, 17.85 points. That is your saucy nug of the week. Try some at your nearest Wendy's.
Saucy
always, Mark, I know you love it when I come armed with bonus saucy nugs. So I got a couple bonus saucy nugs of the week.
That's
a good nugget, but what's that mean? That means that let's go back to the BCS then.
Okay, so the 4 games this week in the college football playoffs, the margin was 10 points, 14, 25 and 28. That's an average of 19.25 points per game. So that number's even bigger, right? Like we pushed that.
And it's actually skewed because Indiana scored 14 points in the last minute, 20 seconds.
Correct. But
so really they got their belt to hammer.
Yeah, we're not going to do the skewing. The skewing confuses things. So I was trying to find a parallel, guys, and the easiest parallel, and obviously this is not quite apples to apples, but I went back to last year's NFL playoffs. Okay, 14 teams, 2 of them get byes. Remember that. So in the quote unquote first round, the wild card playoffs, where there were 6 games. Okay, how many upsets were there in the 6 games?
How many?
Saucy nug, throw it at
one, just one. All right. So there was one upset last year, just as based on seeding. But the points, the point differential, I found interesting. Of those 6 games, only one of them was less than 14 points. Okay. Wow. Again, this is the NFL. So there was a one-point game. And then after that, the differential in order was 14, 16, 19, 23, and 31 points. So that was an average of 17.33 points per game. Yes, I found my calculator. So the
moral to the story is it happens.
It happens. That's my point. Like, why are we upset about this? Like, I think if we hit the pause button, we knew this was going to happen. And the concept is to give other people, other fan bases, other teams an opportunity to prove themselves. They get the opportunity. Did they do it? No. but at least they were given the opportunity. Your point, though, is should the Indianas, the SMUs, the Tennessees of the world been invited in the first place when maybe a South Carolina, an LSU, an Alabama type thing would have been a better fit in a quote unquote better game? But is it the College Football Playoff Committee's job to give us better games? No.
Yes.
I say it's to give us the 12 best teams that earned the right to get there.
That will give you the 12. That will give you better games.
So would you all agree
3 for better games?
Mark, would you agree 3 for 3, all three of us, that they didn't do their job? Did they fail?
Yeah, I think they. I mean, yeah, they did.
Are you giving them? Are you saying pass fail, or can we grade them?
Because I was watching the FCS semifinal in the NFL game. So I was watching the FCS semifinal.
So they lost. They lost Mark Ingram, a Heisman Trophy winner, a national champion. Okay,
that's what was going on in my house.
That's
so
I mean, Indiana, SMU in in the SEC. What's their record? Honestly, Indiana's record.
Not good. But the SEC, like, none of the conferences got justified. Like, SEC got whooped on, but Tennessee went there and got beat on bad. Yeah. No resistance.
And I was there, coach. And Mark, the score was not as bad as it was. It was worse in person. That game was not even. It looked like a lower level Big Ten team playing Ohio State. I stood right there and watched them. I thought the Tennessee could control line of scrimmage. It wasn't even close. Not even close. And Tennessee, to their credit, their fans traveled, man. There was orange all over that stadium.
Yeah, were you surprised by that, Coach?
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen that in that stadium, and a little alarmed by it. But they
hacked the system.
Came out. I heard that. But the Buckeyes came out. I mean, it was 42. I think it was 42-10. It was worse than that.
It was 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
3 drives, 3 touchdowns. It was impressive. Ohio State.
When you play somebody in video games, you tell them to pass the sticks. It's 21-0. You tell them pass the sticks, Stoner.
Pass the sticks.
Yeah, get off the game.
Pass the joystick type.
I got to throw our man Signetti out there too. I saw a clip. I guess he's on that show, and he said we kicked the shit out of people.
He said we don't. He said we don't just play top 25 teams. We beat the dog shit out of them. That's what he said.
Well, Ohio State handed it to him. And you mentioned the 27-17 scoreline was flattering to Indiana. There were times where Coach Signetti basically just yielded. You know what I found interesting? I watched the game, and every time there was a kickoff, within a split second, Indiana had the arm up. They weren't even trying to return anything. And to me, that kind of set a tone that we're not quite at this level. We're not even going to try to attempt these things. They had some fourth down opportunities that they did not go for. And Coach Signetti said our offense was just not happening. Right, it just was not happening on the day. Our defense was still fighting, and give the defense credit, give the special teams credit on recovering that onside kick. But that game just it felt different. The Jeremiah Love, and he's a different player, and he was playing with flu-like symptoms, but he had that 98-yard touchdown run. That game felt over kind of early, and then the early Saturday game, SMU Penn State. You never want to point out one player, but the quarterback play at SMU obviously is going to come under some well-deserved heat for that one game, which is tough. But I actually, the first 2 drives of that Penn State SMU game, I'm thinking, all right, 3 and out, Penn State. Okay, SMU, what do you got? And SMU went tempo, and they went deep, and they challenged, and they drove the ball, and they had that whiteout crowd at noon subdued a little bit, and then they went for it on 4th down. He could have gotten it with his legs. Instead, he got a kiss greedy and tried to get the 6 in the touchdown. Bam, that blew up. And then right after that, pick six. And as you like to say, Coach, that's one done. Red line it. It was over. Yeah, that was game, set, match early on. And I was like, Mark, I quit watching. It was bad. There's no interest level when you start seeing that kind of blow up. It's just, I think a lot of people, when the word playoff started and 12 teams are trying to have the imagination of March Madness. The reality is the chance of upsets in the game of college football happen.
but not to the extreme that happened in March Madness. So I think we are now being presented with that. Time will tell if that will happen. But every year in March Madness, you get a couple upsets.
And that's the charm of it. That's the beauty of March Madness, too,
I'm
right?
just wondering, is a college football fan ready for first round blowouts every year? And that's, once again, it's year one, so we don't need to jump the gun here. But
exactly.
We're in conversation.
And that's the point. But, Coach, the conversation will continue into the new year with the quarterfinals, because if Arizona State is a 4 seed and Boise State is a 3 seed don't show up, there's going to be real heavy criticism. There probably already is right now about why are they there. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I believe in Scadaboo and the Sun Devils and what Genty and Boise State have done this season. I'm happy that they're there, but those two programs need to play their respective opponents really tough. Can we, real quick, Mark, your thoughts on Texas and Clemson? You know, Clemson, it looked like it was going to get ugly in that second quarter. They kept it close. They were driving to pull it within one score, couldn't do it. Texas has two guys go over 100 yards on the ground. Quinn Ewers is kind of effective, and Texas moves on to take on Arizona State in the Peach Bowl in the quarterfinals.
I mean, the battle at the line of scrimmage it was clear that Clemson couldn't hang up at the line of scrimmage. But at the end of the day, Clay Kubnik played his butt off, man.
Yeah, he did.
He balled out, man, and he gave Clemson a chance to essentially be in that game, because it really was a one-sided, lopsided game if it wasn't for Cade Klubnik. I mean, he threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He single-handedly kept Clemson in this game. And so shout out to him, man. They have a real quarterback, man, over there at Clemson. But, yeah, you could tell the battle of the line of scrimmage, which you said, two runners over 100 yards. The amount of pressure that Klubnik was under. Obviously, in the trenches, that's what set Texas apart in that game. But shout out to Cade Klubnik, man, because he single-handedly willed this team to a competitive score, our closest score of the weekend.
Yeah, and the line of scrimmage was definitely a talking point over the course of all 4 of those games. If you look at those results, I think every winning head coach in those 4 playoff games will tell you we won the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
And I know Coach Ryan Day was essentially saying the same thing. Listen, we got a confident Will Howard. I asked him to be a leader this week. He was a leader. They went to Jeremiah Smith early. Probably would have liked to seen him a little bit more often, but he's a game breaker. There seemed to be a different Ohio State offensive mentality than what we saw from them a couple weeks back in the home loss to that team up north.
You know, I saw Chip Kelly after the game, and he said, "Thank God we got that taste out of our mouth." So here's another kudos to the system, the college football playoff. In days past, you lose that game in the past, you're going to some bowl game. I said this before. You're stuck in a bowl game you do not want to be at. Your team has cashed it in. A bunch of guys will not play. You saw that last year when the Buckeyes got just destroyed by Missouri because, you know, I think 10 or 14 kids didn't play. So Ohio State had a chance to redeem themselves. It was different in Columbus. I mean, it was one of those scarlet outs. They had the beautiful uniforms. Looked like
the uniforms were nice, Coach.
Sweatshirt right now. They came out. The crowd was all over the place. So that would not have happened in years past. It was over. They would have been stuck in a bowl game. Like I said, they didn't want to be at, and most of the players would have left. So it was a special
thing with
day.
Ohio State was that defense has been strong for them all year long. We've always been, talking about the offense and the inconsistent performance of the offense, and they came out and they were aggressive. They got the ball to their playmakers, and that's this Ohio State team we've been looking for this entire year long that everyone's been talking about. When they play like that, Ohio State is definitely the favorite to win this college football playoff.
I wonder why the creativity,
aggressiveness, just be aggressive.
Man. I mean, they were motioning and shifting, and they were doing those naked passes coming across the formation. I wonder if the more time they had as a staff, because they had a couple weeks 3 weeks to get ready for that thing.
Coach, they were sandbagging like you do in golf, man.
You think they were sandbagging, do you?
They were sandbagging. They just played us off. Because this is the Ohio State team we thought. This is the Ohio State team everyone talked about. They were aggressive. They were explosive. They were strong on defense. They were unpredictable on offense, getting people in position to have success, getting their playmakers in space, throwing it to their playmakers, handing it to their playmakers. And at the end of the day, man, this is the Ohio State team that we thought we were going to see. So, obviously, moving forward, we'll see. They got Oregon, a huge, huge game in the quarters.
We'll get to that. Yep.
But we'll see. I
found it really interesting because Ryan Day did admit almost immediately after the game. We called this game, quote, more aggressively. He was happy about the balance that they had, Coach. I love the fact, as a football fan, that they found Jeremiah Smith early, right? Like get one of the best players in the nation involved. And that dude is a game breaker, 2 touchdown receptions, 6 grabs, 103 yards. And the Buckeyes, of the 4 wins, is it fair to say Ohio State made the biggest statement? Texas with the win, Penn State with the win, Notre Dame with the win, all 4 home teams getting the win. But did Ohio State make the biggest statement of those 4 games?
Not even close.
Okay.
Ohio State, if you're just a bystander or you're just, really you're an analyst watching, it's not close. If they play like that, they're the best. That's the talent that they have on that roster. I made a comment preseason, arguably the best talent that maybe's ever been put together. Watch the NFL draft, what's going to happen. And then they had the 3 injuries with the offensive line. So, yes, they're picked to win against a team that beat them.
So here's what's left, guys. 1 independent, 1 from the Mountain West, 1 from the Big 12, 2 from the SEC, 3 programs from the Big 10 still alive. Coming up next on The Triple Option, presented by Wendy's, we're joined by actor, comedian, grunge music fan, and University of Washington football supporter, the great Joel McHale. He joins us next on The Triple Option, presented by Wendy's.
Light it.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, right, Mark? You've had the Wendy nugs?
I've had
dipped in
them, and I love
All right.
them.
But, Mark, I ask you, have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs that I know you love, and you know what they turn them up to? They turn them up to 11, Mark.
Ooh, more than 10.
More than
Choose
10.
between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. There's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love.
Are you man enough to try the spicy ghost pepper, by the way? Do you think you could pull that off?
That's not for me. I'm the honey barbecue type guy.
Yeah, I can do the peppers. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then go back and get a few more napkins and prepare to nug. Apparently, the word nug is a verb now. So, Mark, prepare to nug like you've never nugged before for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Keep on nugging, America.
Nug City.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face these consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. All right, he has hosted The Soup on E! You've seen him on Community, among other shows and movies. Currently, he's starring in Animal Control, which returns to our beloved Fox on January 2nd. Joel McHale joins the Triple Option, and Joel is a football guy, right? And it goes back to your University of Washington roots. So just as a quick little resume for us, what is your love, your attachment to college football right now?
Well, I was a mascot on the University of Washington. And, even though it looked like I was in full pads all the time, I love football. I love most sports. I basically am a human golden retriever. If there was a ball and someone put the ball 10 feet away from me, I would run at the ball and bring it back to them. And that's, so I was good at sports and standing on stage because I love attention, and I was terrible at school. And I pretty much grew up in Seattle, where we are self-hate. Like, we get, like, our Sonics have a championship, we sell them. and see you later. And then but I was there when the Seahawks started. It's weird to think of having teams when they just start. And then we also had Don James, who ended up coaching me, but in the late 70s when he came in to a very rough Husky program and won the freaking Rose Bowl out of nowhere. And that really put us on the map and made everyone kind of sit up. And so my parents, my grandparents went to the University of Washington is where I went. And this is and then I eventually walked on to the University of Washington team because I think Mark and I are probably equal athletes.
Exactly.
I think we both probably same stats and
100%.
Let's not look that up. Don't look
same
it up.
Defensive stats, maybe.
Yeah, don't look that
You
up.
play. You played in the Rose Bowl, as did I. So we're great.
Did I play?
You were there. You were on the field.
You were there in the flesh. You ran out that tunnel.
Yeah, well,
in Pasadena, you had the same experience.
Yeah, it was. It was not. Yes, so equal, and and so that's my. And then I left the team and decided to pursue, a very stable business of entertainment, and so that's how that all kicked off. And my wife and I moved to LA 24 years ago when Urban only had like 5 national championships at that point. So that was going way back. So yeah, that's so now I don't know what my good fortune was, but here we are. Here we are on this podcast, and
bless child. We glad to have you on the pod.
Hey Joe, it's Urban Meyer. Glad to have you. These guys want me to talk football. I started, once I found out you're coming on, I started a petition. I got a lot of names, man. We're going to do season 13 in the soup.
Oh, yeah.
Start that bad boy up again. I really miss that.
That was good times. And that was my big break. That was everyone was like, oh, how did you get that? I didn't have an agent when I got that. I was not represented but I had a commercial agent who was wonderful. But I ended up booking that show, and then no one watched it for a year, which was really good because I'm very dyslexic and cannot read teleprompter. And so I had a whole year to screw up. Could you imagine like playing football where you'd be like, don't worry, guys, we're not playing anybody this year. We're just going to iron out the kinks for a year. And would have been great. And Urban, I met you outside. The first time I met you was outside of a hotel after the ESPYs. And I met you with your daughter, and you were so kind. And your daughter was competition water skiing at that point, I believe.
Yeah, wakeboarding.
Good memory.
National champion. Yeah. I do remember that. That's great.
And and I was you're so kind and cool. And but those were the soup was on for 12 years, and I was couldn't believe my good fortune. And then they signed me to a new 2-year contract, and then abruptly canceled the show like 2 months later. And you're not going to believe this. They didn't realize they had signed me to a guaranteed contract. So
that a boy.
It really shows you who was running the place at the time.
Well done.
So, hey, real quick, Joe, and I'll hand this off to Mark. So you had a little bit of political incorrectness in some of that comedy. I think that's what I loved about it. How much has that changed in this world?
Well, I think so far, I know that Seinfeld came out and said you can't tell jokes at colleges anymore. And I think Chris Rock said the same thing. And so far, I have not had that experience. And they are especially like college audiences. They are game, and they want to, from what my experience has been. And then I saw that Tom Brady roast, and I was like, don't think not only did no one get in trouble, I mean, I guess other than Tom Brady, but everybody's career, after that was like, I mean, I talked to Gronk, who afterwards, he was like, "I've never gotten a bigger response to anything I've ever done, including the Super Bowls." And I was like, "Oh, that's..." So, there are I always feel like comedy always is like as waves start coming in, it's how comics kind of ride those waves, and so like there are changing time, like everything's changing all the time. So far, I'm still telling jokes that people go, "Oh," and they may not be funny, but I think like the Soup was a very weird, wonderful time when like reality television was an open frontier at that point. I mean, you had like it was still there was no rules, so and there was no sort of standards that were like they gave Britney Spears a camera and her and Kevin Federline just filmed each other kind of getting high, and that became a television show. Or Flavor Flav, had like 9
Flavor
shows
Love.
on.
Come get your clock, girl.
Right. I mean, that, and he was, then like that's when now the Bachelor is like, like it's like this institution. But at the time, it was like there's 30 lunatics that are trying to get this one lunatic's love, and they have like 3 weeks to do it. This is insane. And now it's like, well, it's normal, and they're huge stars. What's wrong with you? Or RuPaul's Drag Race was the dirtiest show on television that we couldn't show it, and now it is this multiple Emmy-winning performance institution, and I don't I don't know what to compare. I guess I compare it to if it's football. I don't know if you've seen that CBS 1979 promo video, where it's like the NFL, literally every highlight they showed was
a concussion or somebody going to the hospital, right?
Stomping on someone's back, and face masks and horse collars, and then it was like the NFL, and I was like, oh, that's what that time was like. And the fact that someone like you, Urban, were watching it was like the fact that we got to an audience like someone like you guys. I was like, oh, it ended up. It was a bunch of high school friends, and we just kind of made it up, and we got so lucky.
How much college football do you watch on a typical Saturday?
Well, if the Huskies are playing, and Urban, my love for the Huskies, and if they're playing, then I'm going to be watching it, and I get and then if it's on all, it's like if it's Saturday, it's only college, or Friday night college football, and then Sunday's all NFL, and then the rest of the week is tennis. It's just balls, guys. I just want a ball.
Again, balls.
And then when the evening rolls,
golden retriever.
Then it's NBA.
A human golden retriever. Air Bud.
Yeah, if it's NBA season, then we're in. But there really is nothing like college football on this planet. And I know I say that as a half Canadian, that they watch all of our games, right? And the spectacle of college football is, I mean, it's obviously like the NFL and college football have all come up at the same time, but like we still haven't embraced soccer the way that everybody wants us to, and because
half of us haven't.
Are you into it?
There's two of us here that really love football.
Yeah, but
Mark
you guys
and
you hate wrestling though, right?
Not like pro wrestling. Not pro. This guy loves pro wrestling.
I know. You
I'm a junkie.
no, I'm saying like,
so you're talking to two people who support the game,
right?
Not that one over there.
The ratings compared to like
that one.
It's a Brady Bunch episode over there. Yeah,
he doesn't really like it too much.
One.
I live right near the Brady house. No
Do
joke.
you?
And I just met Marsha, the woman that played Marsha, last night, literally at a community.
Where did you meet her?
At a Christmas party, and I was like, "Oh, for 40
What do
years."
people do when Joe McHale pulls up to the Christmas party? Like, are they like, you just shutting down the whole event or what? Like,
they're like, Daniel Tosh is here. Can't believe it. Can't believe we got him. Oh, yeah. No, they Wait, do you think? But to this day, obviously, college football and NFL football are bigger ratings-wise than FIFA soccer is or Major League Soccer.
Not the World Cup, huh?
World Cup will go toe to toe, but that's just once every 4 years.
Yeah.
Does FIFA like playoffs get as big a ratings as NFL playoffs in America? Do we know?
NFL is so consistent and it's year in and year out, right? Where the World Cup, it's every 4 years or every 3 years if you throw in the Women's World Cup. And they get really good, respectable ratings, but those NFL numbers are bonkers every single Sunday. So there's a couple days that will put up the good fight, right? And go toe-to-toe. But I think the majority it's still, this is an NFL society. This is now a college football society here in the U.S. as well, for sure.
All right, Joe, let's get back to Washington. I'm fired up to hear your thoughts. Big Ten versus Pac-12. Are you glad they did it? Harder path to success? Do you miss the Pac-12 games? I mean, it's a lot of people were torn up when that Pac-12 went away.
Yeah, it was. I was very sad about it because it was, it was what the West Coast was, right? That was our league, and that defined. And I understand why everybody did it, because of the consolidation of power to be competitive with like the SEC, and I understand why it happened. It's just it was an ugly moment when it all happened very quickly, and I felt terrible for the Beavers and the Cougs, and they especially this year with the Cougs being good and that quarterback being really good. And
you didn't feel that bad. It's the Cougars. I mean, you're a Husky. You can only feel so bad about the Cougars.
I've switched all my hatred over to the Ducks.
So okay.
Now it's like if the Cougars were a super powerful team, I would hate them more. But now it's become a new sport in Washington State to hate. So
will you go to the Rose Bowl just to hate watch Oregon and cheer against them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not above that.
Did you know that Urban has seen me do stand-up?
He admitted to that before we got you on.
In Columbus, right?
Yes, you were Urban. Speaking of celebrities, when you walked into the show, I don't think I've ever seen. The only time I've seen something similar is when Steve Martin came to see one of my stand-up shows. And I might as well have walked on stage and went, over here. And Urban was just touching people on the forehead, curing them of diseases. It was, he made a little boy walk. It was just like, you can walk again.
That's awesome.
They were just holding onto the hem of his garment. I was like, oh, that was, you were so nice and your friends were so cool. And I was like, when I told anybody, I was like, Urban Meyer came to the show, and they were like, why? I don't know. Maybe he likes comedy.
I love comedy.
And it was really like just to see the it was.
They're kind of oblivious to it, Joel, because I walk around with these guys sometimes, and you can feel the heads whip and look and point and the talk. These are godlike creatures in certain spots of our country, and it is pretty remarkable. Joel, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to see you're a big fan of Alice in Chains. I'm glad your eyebrows are back. Oh, it's such a great band. And
I quit the team before they allowed me to shave.
You're gonna have no facial expressions for a month.
Good decision. And Animal Control returns January 2nd on Fox. Joel McHale, everybody, man. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next season on Big Noon Kickoff.
I would love to. And Mark, I'll take you to some parties there.
Yeah, hey man, let me know. Holla at your boy. And if you're ever down here in Florida, come holla at me. I got you. I got an extra room.
It's the great thing about the parties here, also sleeve optional.
Hey, I don't like to wear my sleeves. Gotta let the gun show go. You feel me?
Light it.
Well, as you all know by now, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. We'll also have special offers for our listeners each week. Mark, you're listening, right? You're listening to this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Pay attention. All right, so if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, We urge you to use the bonus code OPTION or go to betmgm.com/option and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer, Mark, on your first wager with BetMGM. We're talking $1,500, Mark.
$1,500. But here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code OPTION. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code OPTION when you sign up or go to betmgm.com/option.
It's all about the option, Mark.
It's all about the option, especially the triple option.
See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369 New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. We welcome you back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob Stone, Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer back here with you. All right, let's talk about two of the upcoming quarterfinal games. Pick Six is brought to you by our great partner, BetMGM. Place your money line, prop parlay, and same-game parlay bets at BetMGM. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Again, these are early lines in right now, but Texas, guys, a heavy favorite in the Peach Bowl. They are favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 13.5 points over. How can you disrespect our main guy, Cam Scattaboo and Arizona State? Scattaboo. But Texas, a big favorite heading into Atlanta, Mark.
Guess who? Our boy Scattaboo. I want Scattaboo to bar, man, but
I do too.
They got an uphill battle, man. Texas, we talked about the line of scrimmage, how they are offensive line, defensive line. Two of the most physical units in the nation. I got Texas covering this one, man, and they've been playing well. They had a convincing win over Clemson, who I feel probably would beat the Arizona State team, possibly. You know what I mean? So I got Texas covering this one, man. They haven't been playing. Quinn has been struggling with his health, and he's gonna get going, man. I just have this.
Got to get that ankle healthy, right? That big old brace that was kind of they tried to hide it up the other day.
Yeah, man, with the spat, he's just not looking like himself right now, and they're still finding ways to dominate, win games. They're running the football. Trey Wisner, obviously on defense, they're physical, flying around, causing havoc, creating turnovers. So Sark and this team, I think they're just too much of a match for Arizona State. I hope our boy Cam Scattaboo has a big game, but I just don't think it'll be enough to be able to keep up with Texas. I got Texas covered in this game.
I agree with you 100%. We won 3 national titles, and the reason we won is the line of scrimmage, 06, 08, and 14. At the end of the day, that's because once again, as you start to get higher, the more competitive the games are, a lot of times the skill set, unless you just have an absolute freak of freaks, skill sets a lot of times start to equalize a little bit. The line of scrimmage, because it's going to be a field position game, Texas up front, offense, defense, I think they cover the spread. And I think I'm looking at Texas right now. If they can get that quarterback healthy, what other team has more balanced offensive and defensive line than University of Texas right now? They proved it against Clemson. They just controlled. They screwed around a little bit. That game could have got out of hand fast. But they ran the ball up and down against Clemson.
200-yard rushers.
Yeah, so I got Texas covering the spread here, and I'm a big fan. You think what the coach did at Dillingham and Scattaboo, just a big fan, and that's a great future there. But I think they're running a little buzzsaw with Texas.
Texas back-to-back 12-win seasons. First time they did that since 08-09. Arizona seeking just their second ever 12-win season. They did it back in 1975. Coach, real quick, a reaction to this. Sark, before the playoffs started, asked, why he thought Texas could win a national title. He said 2 reasons: depth and versatility.
I like it. Yeah, that's first of all, depth will matter once again as it gets more rugged, which it's about to get real rugged on them. And I'm not sure what he means by versatility. I'd have to look that up. And Does that mean ability to be creative and run and pass?
Ability to play against other type of teams? Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but he liked it.
All I know is you got 4 guys on the D line with some depth, probably 8 guys they can rotate in there, and I love their offensive line. I watched that one now. They were coming off that ball, man. I
think he means the versatility in the ways they could win the game.
Yeah.
Just different ways they could win the game. A physical battle, running the football, throwing the football, defensive struggle. I think he means the team is versatile in ways they could win games. But they haven't been tested. Their schedule hasn't been great. We talk about schedule, strength of schedule, who have you played?
2 losses to Georgia.
Yes. Yep. The 2 teams they played that were – well, the one team – well, they got A&M, but, yeah, they haven't had a great schedule either. So we'll see.
Talking about the line of Ohio State on the offensive side, really impressive. They had been maligned for much of the year. They took some heat against Oregon when those guys met early in the season back in October. Again, another rematch here, Ohio State and Oregon at the Rose Bowl. It's the Buckeyes favored by 1.5. I think one of the things that maybe, Coach, people aren't talking about enough or giving enough praise to is that offensive line and how they showed up and balled against Tennessee. You know, they were taking some shots at them after the loss to the team up north, but they responded. They gave Howard plenty of time. The running backs were able to do what they are supposed to do and why they are there. And if that offensive line, and I know the whole unit of the Buckeyes, if they can play that way, then you have to think, wow, there might be another national title coming to Columbus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 things. When I was at the game at Ohio State, and it was I think it was 42-10. Mark, it wasn't that close.
Yeah.
There was never really a threat. I know they came within, I think, 10 points or something.
At the half, it was like 21-10 or something. That was the closest.
Yeah, but it was as a guy, I stood on the sideline for a little bit, and I was a little bit shocked because I thought Tennessee would control the line of scrimmage. They didn't at all. There was very little pressure on Will Howard. So number one is the offense line did play well. This will be a different animal. I think the defense coordinator, I've said this many times, Tosh Lupoi, is one of the best I've been around. He's had several weeks now to get ready for them. He'll have some new stuff. Remember, they had 10 sacks against Washington. Very good players and an excellent scheme, and he's one of the great motivators I've seen. So I think, again, the point spread I'd put at 0.
Yes.
I think this is an even game. I think if prior to the Tennessee game, Oregon would have been favored. So I think Vegas is playing around here. I put 0. I think Ohio State.
I love Coach putting 0 down, by the way.
Was shocked by the speed at the receiver when they first played Oregon.
Yeah,
Think now, it's probably been 2 years. Certainly this year, they haven't faced anything close to Oregon's receivers. And when I was watching the game, they were running right by Ohio State's corners. Right by them and their safeties. This is the advantage of playing a team again, and I told you how I'd handle it. The defensive backs at Ohio State would not face another scout team receiver the rest of 2024, whatever it is, because you can't get shocked. They were shocked by that speed, and the corners will be playing against Mecca, Carnell Tate, and Jeremiah Smith this whole week of practice up until the game. So I have Ohio State as a walk-off winning, but I think it's going to be it'll be a classic.
All right, so you got Ohio State winning and covering.
I'm sorry, Bet MGM. It's Bet UM. It's Bet Urban Meyer. That spread is 0.
Right,
that
Coach is making lines now.
Yeah.
That 0 is so good.
But Coach is right, though. That spread is even as it should be, man, because
Oregon
is for real, man. We talk about Jordan James in the run game. We talk about the explosive receivers they have on the outside. Dylan Gabriel, his experience in this defense, man. They're going to find a way. They're going to heat Will Howard up and see if he can handle pressure. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to see if this O-line, they're going to see if Will Howard can handle pressure and adapt to it. But what Ohio State was able to do versus Tennessee, man, it really impressed me. They got the ball to Travion Henderson. He had 8 yards to carry. He had over 50 yards receiving. They got the ball to Jeremiah Smith. They got the ball to Emeka Egbuka. So they got the ball into the hands of their playmakers, and that settled Will Howard down because he was extremely efficient. The one turnover he had was a freak interception in the end zone. This defense is playing well. Ever since that Ohio State-Oregon game, they've developed pressure packages to get pressure on Dylan Gabriel, to get pressure on the quarterbacks. So they have been improving. And what have they done when they've had their most trials and tribulations this season? After Oregon, Oregon, they responded and got better. After Michigan, they responded and got better. I think those 2 losses put this team in the right mind frame, and I think it's going to be a close, tough battle, but I think Ohio State finds a way to win this game, man. I think they find a way to win this game. I think they have a lot of playmakers offensively and defensively, as does Oregon. This is going to be a straight-up dogfight. The football game that we all deserve as college football fans. We're going to get it in this game, but I got it being a walk-off field goal, like Coach said. Whoever has the ball last, I think it's going to be Ohio State, and I think they're going to get the W.
Ohio State kicking game has not been their strength by any stretch of the imagination this season. 1.5-point spread. And again, we flash back to October 12th, where the Ducks did a great service, probably looking forward to Ohio State and giving them some things to really self-scout and figure out.
Yep.
And that was a turning point for Ohio State when they lost in Eugene by 1 point because the clock ended before Will Howard could get down, and Ohio State could try that walk-off field goal. Who knows if they'll have another opportunity to do that. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you find your podcast. Again, on social media, we can be found at 3X Option Show. Fire off questions to us. We'd love to answer them during the show. Next episode coming away on Friday. That's right, a bonus episode this week during the holidays coming away on Friday. We'll talk all about the quarterfinals. And again, as always, thanks to our amazing sponsors, Wendy's, BetMGM, USAA, and NHTSA. Mark, bark us off. Bark us off, Mark Ingram.
Oh.
And a happy new year. Love it.